January 15th, 2026. The world wakes up to a date that will soon be etched in history. In the heart of winter, a storm brews, not of weather, but of politics and power. The Middle East is on edge, headlines blaring across every screen and newspaper. Iran has issued a stark ultimatum, sending shockwaves through capitals and living rooms alike. The air is thick with uncertainty, as families and officials alike try to make sense of what comes next. In response, U.S. troops stationed across the region begin urgent preparations for evacuation. Soldiers pack their gear with tense precision, their faces a mix of determination and anxiety. Convoys rumble through bases, ready to move at a moment's notice. From the corridors of power in Washington to the bustling streets of Tehran, the region holds its breath. Tension is palpable, stretching across borders and cultures, uniting millions in a shared sense of dread. Years of simmering grievances, failed negotiations, and Iran's nuclear ambitions have finally reached a boiling point. The ghosts of past confrontations haunt the present, fueling fears that history may soon repeat itself, only this time, with even higher stakes. At a packed press conference, a senior Iranian official delivers a chilling warning, not just to Washington, but to every nation hosting U.S. forces. The message is clear, and the world listens with bated breath. The ultimatum is stark. Support the U.S., and you become a target. Maps of U.S. bases flash across screens, and the threat feels closer than ever before. In Dubai's vibrant markets, the usual chatter is replaced by hushed whispers. Shoppers glance nervously at their phones, vendors exchange worried looks, and the sense of unease is impossible to ignore. Safety is on everyone's mind. Meanwhile, at the United Nations in Geneva, diplomats scramble for solutions. Emergency meetings are called, and the world's top negotiators work around the clock, desperate to pull the region back from the brink. In war rooms and intelligence centers, military analysts track every move, every signal, every satellite image over the Persian Gulf. They know that a single miscalculation, a single spark, could ignite a firestorm that engulfs the entire region. For U.S. troops stationed in Qatar, the UAE, and Saudi Arabia, the threat is not abstract, it is immediate and personal. Every routine patrol, every shift change, is now shadowed by the possibility of attack. Military bases across the Middle East are on the highest alert. Drills are constant, alarms are tested, and the roar of fighter jets taking off into the night sky is a near-constant reminder of the danger that looms. These forces are now explicit targets. Behind sandbags and barbed wire, soldiers scan the horizon, knowing their safety, and the stability of the entire region hangs in the balance. In the halls of power, leaders in Washington and Tehran weigh their next moves with grave deliberation. The world watches, holding its breath, bracing for what comes next, hoping for peace, but preparing for the worst. Tehran's warning was precise and unmistakable. Any U.S. attack launched from a third country, no matter how indirect, will bring swift and forceful retaliation against that host nation. This is not just rhetoric, it's a calculated message meant to instill fear and uncertainty among America's regional partners. Iran's leadership is making it clear that the consequences of involvement, even passive, will be severe and immediate. Iran's message is clear. American bases, once seen as symbols of security and deterrence, are now magnets for conflict, not shields. The presence of U.S. forces, instead of guaranteeing safety, now draws the threat of Iranian missiles and drones, turning these installations into potential targets overnight. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Turkey, and Qatar now face a stark and dangerous choice: support the U.S. and risk devastating attacks on their own soil, with the possibility of civilian casualties and infrastructure damage, or distance themselves from Washington and risk losing the vital American protection that has underpinned their security for decades. This dilemma is unprecedented, forcing leaders to weigh national survival against long-standing alliances. The psychological impact on these societies is profound. Ordinary citizens watch anxiously as their leaders navigate an impossible position, caught between the demands of a global superpower and the threats of a powerful, unpredictable neighbor. The sense of vulnerability is palpable, with uncertainty spreading through every level of society. Iran's strategy is to isolate the U.S. by making the cost of alliance unbearably high, both politically and militarily. By raising the stakes, Tehran hopes to fracture the network of American partnerships that has defined the region for decades. Domestically, this ultimatum rallies Iranian support, projecting strength and defiance to the world. The government uses this moment to unite the public, portraying itself as the nation's shield against foreign aggression. The regime frames itself as a defender against outside threats, consolidating hardline power and silencing dissent. This narrative strengthens the government's grip, presenting Iran as a nation standing tall against global pressure. The threat resonates both at home and abroad, raising the stakes for every nation in the region. As tensions escalate, the entire Middle East is forced to reconsider its alliances, its security, and its future in a rapidly changing landscape. Leaders in Riyadh, Abu Dhabi, Ankara, and Doha now face an acute crisis, one that threatens not only their own stability but the fragile balance of the entire Middle East. As tensions escalate between global superpowers, these regional actors find themselves caught in a dangerous web of alliances and rivalries, forced to make decisions that could shape the future of the region for years to come. Their alliance with Washington has long been a lifeline, providing military support, intelligence, and economic ties. Yet, their proximity to Tehran and the ever-present shadow of Iranian influence remains a constant threat. The Gulf's geography means that any conflict between the US and Iran would unfold right on their doorsteps, making neutrality nearly impossible. Saudi Arabia and the UAE, for decades reliant on US security guarantees, now find themselves questioning whether that protection is worth the risk of becoming targets for Iranian missiles. The 2019 attack on Saudi oil facilities was a stark reminder of their vulnerability, and the memory lingers as they weigh their options. Turkey, a NATO ally with its own ambitions, must balance its historic ties to the US with a pragmatic relationship with Iran. Ankara's position is uniquely complex, as it seeks to assert its influence while avoiding entanglement in a conflict that could threaten its own security and economic interests. Ankara is unlikely to serve as a willing staging ground for US military action. Instead, it leverages its strategic location and diplomatic channels to extract concessions and ensure its own security, all while maintaining a careful distance from direct confrontation. Qatar, home to the largest US military base in the region, finds itself in a particularly delicate bind. Its security is underwritten by the US presence, but its economy and diplomatic ties are deeply intertwined with Iran. Doha must walk a fine line, balancing its relationships to avoid alienating either side. Each nation is scrambling to reassure Washington of their loyalty and strategic value, while simultaneously signaling to Tehran a desire to avoid open conflict. Behind closed doors, leaders engage in frantic diplomacy, seeking guarantees and reassurances from both sides. The region's leaders walk a tightrope, their every move scrutinized by both allies and adversaries. The stakes are higher than ever, and a single misstep could have catastrophic consequences for their people and the wider region. In this volatile environment, the cost of miscalculation has never been higher. The decisions made in the coming days and weeks will determine not just the fate of these regional powers, but the stability of the Middle East as a whole. The US response is swift. Bases across the Middle East are on high alert. At Al Udeid in Qatar, Patriot missile batteries scan the skies and air patrols intensify. The US is building a multi-layered defense, integrating satellites, surveillance planes, and naval systems to intercept threats. Offensive assets, including bombers and carrier groups, are positioned just out of sight but ready to strike. This posture reassures allies and warns Iran any attack will be met with overwhelming force. But the risk of miscalculation grows. Advanced weapons, tense nerves, and constant drills create a volatile mix. A single mistake could trigger open conflict. The US fortifies its front lines, preparing for both deliberate attacks and the chaos of escalation. The region stands on a knife's edge. President Trump's promise of very strong action against Iran leaves the world guessing. Is it sanctions, covert ops, or direct military strikes? The ambiguity is deliberate. This uncertainty is meant to deter Iran, making them fear the worst. Supporters say it keeps enemies off balance. Critics warn it risks dangerous miscalculation. Tehran might see it as bluster, or as a prelude to war, prompting rash decisions. America's allies, desperate for clarity, are left anxious and exposed. The lack of a clear strategy amplifies the crisis, making coordination nearly impossible. In this climate, unpredictability is both a weapon and a liability. Inside Iran, the IRGC prepares for what it sees as a battle for survival. Missile forces are dispersed and on high alert. Naval units drill for asymmetric warfare. The Quds Force activates proxy militias across the region, ready to open multiple fronts. The IRGC frames the conflict as a sacred struggle, fueling defiance and sacrifice. Internal dissent is crushed with the same zeal as foreign threats. Protests are seen as foreign plots. For the IRGC, compromise is not an option. Every challenge is met with aggression. This mindset makes Iran a formidable and unpredictable adversary. As protests stir, Iran deploys its most effective tool, an information blackout. Internet access is cut, isolating protesters and stifling coordination. The blackout breeds fear and uncertainty, making it harder for dissent to spread. State media controls the narrative while the outside world struggles to verify events. The regime justifies the shutdown as a defense against foreign plots, framing protests as terrorism. This allows harsh crackdowns and severe sentences, all under the guise of national security. The blackout is both a tool of repression and a shield against scrutiny. In the darkness, the regime tightens its grip. The most dangerous element now is silence. Official US-Iran communication channels are dead. In past crises, back channels ease tensions. Today there's only propaganda and worst-case assumptions. Every move is seen as hostile, every exercise as a provocation. Public blame replaces private dialogue, with each side justifying its actions to its own people. Neither side can back down without appearing weak, locking both into a perilous stalemate. The risk of accidental war is immense. A minor incident could ignite a major conflict. With no one to clarify intentions, escalation is almost inevitable. Leaders are trapped by their own rhetoric, unable to de-escalate. The world holds its breath, hoping for a breakthrough that seems increasingly unlikely. The world watches, anxious. This is no local dispute. The Strait of Hormuz, vital for global oil, could be closed, sending prices soaring and economies reeling. Russia and China warn against US intervention, protecting their interests and calling for dialogue. The US and its allies frame Iran as a threat. Russia and China blame American pressure. Competing narratives fracture the international response, making diplomacy harder. The region is a powder keg. The US projects strength, Iran defiance. Allies are trapped, and great powers maneuver. Ordinary people suffer under sanctions and fear, while leaders dig in. Every side is locked in, with no easy exit. The question remains, who will make the next move? And will it be toward war or away from the brink?